When I first decided to flip houses, I was a little bit arrogant. I thought, well, how hard could this really be? I mean, it's just like the TV shows, right? Well, not quite. So I've spent the last decade now buying both rental properties and doing house flipping, and I've learned a lot. Sometimes I wish I could just go back and give myself advice, but frankly, I can't. However, I can do the next best thing. I can share that advice with you today. Therefore, today in this video, I want to give you 7 things that I desperately wish I had known when I had started flipping houses. Number 1, the flip doesn't begin when you buy it. The first thing I wish I had known when I started flipping houses is that work doesn't begin when I buy the property. It actually starts long before that. Now, no, I'm not talking about breaking into the house and removing walls. What I'm talking about is the prep work that goes in beforehand. You see, what most people do, and honestly what I did for many years, is wait until the day after closing and then I start planning for the flip. I mean, sure, that works, but you're missing out on some valuable time that could help move your entire flip a lot faster. During this due diligence process, you can use the time to line up contractors, create an incredibly detailed scope of work, open up a checking account for the property, pick out materials, though I would wait to actually buy them until closing. And you can do a lot more. Number 2, the scope of work is unbelievably important. Perhaps the most important document you'll use during the entire flip process is known as the scope of work. Essentially, this is the detailed list of every single item that needs to be rehabbed in the home. When I first started flipping houses, I would jot down some notes here and there as to what needed to be done, but it was far from complete. I figured, what's the purpose of getting too detailed? I mean, if we find a problem, it's gonna come up anyway and I'll just have to fix it then. So who cares if they're written down right now? It's not a big deal, right? Wrong. It is a huge deal. Because here's the truth, the more detailed your scope of work is, the more smooth and on budget your entire flip will be. When you know everything about the property, you can get more accurate estimates from contractors, schedule people at the right times, reduce the number of change orders, the contractors will try to charge you for them, and reduce your stress considerably. The scope of work is like a roadmap. It's a lot easier to follow when it's detailed. All right, on to number 3. Cheap doesn't mean a good deal. So you see, many of the houses that I flipped, I really should not have, because I bought them because they were cheap, not because they were a good deal. And there's a difference there, a very fundamental difference, and understanding that difference is what separates the winners from the losers in house flipping. Some cheap houses are cheap for a reason. Perhaps it's a bad neighborhood, perhaps it needs too much work, perhaps there are environmental reasons like asbestos or lead-based paint for the reason that it's so cheap. Now, whatever the reason, remember, cheap doesn't necessarily mean it is a good deal. All right, on to number 4. You make your money when you buy. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. And once you've actually purchased a house, your profit is already capped at a certain point. It's not gonna get any higher. Therefore, if you pay too much for a property going in, it's unlikely you'll ever get the profit you wanted coming out. You can't magically just make the house worth more than it's gonna be worth. The after repair value isn't going to change no matter how cute the paint job is. Therefore, always do your math carefully when buying a flip. Never buy an emotion, but buy because the math shows you are going to make a profit. All right, number 5, dealing with contractors is the hardest part. I firmly believe that the most difficult part for flipping, at least for me, is dealing with bloody contractors. You might find a great deal, you might have incredible financing lined up, you might be in a great neighborhood, everything can be perfect. But if you have horrible contractors or you simply don't manage your contractors correctly, you'll struggle and probably even lose money on the deal. Therefore, don't think of, I've got to find a contractor as a quick and easy task. Put an incredible amount of time, effort, and due diligence into hiring the best contractors. The more work you do up front finding and vetting contractors, the better your flip will go. If you want to read a little bit more on my best tips for finding contractors, be sure to check out my post on BiggerPockets called The Ultimate Guide to Finding an Incredible Contractor. You can search Google for that. Number 6, it's more expensive than you think to rehab a property. One of the most painful lessons I've had to learn over and over and over in my business is this. It's way more expensive to rehab a house than you initially think. This is especially true for people who are handy. You can kind of swing a hammer, you think you know what you're doing. I mean, I know that it would take me maybe 4 hours to paint a big room, including the trim. So when I think about hiring a contractor, I'm like, okay, well, they're like $30 an hour and probably 4 hours, so maybe I'll budget $120. And then I'm shocked when all the bids are like $400, $500, $600. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons, including I'm kind of optimistic on how long it really would take me to do it. Maybe it'd be 5 or 6 hours. Or maybe I, believe contractors actually work for $30 an hour. Or maybe I don't include the contractor's overhead. Or maybe they're just greedy contractors, I know are the right ones. Now today, when I estimate how much something takes to get done, I always overestimate everything. And then I add even more just to be safe. Because here's it, I'd rather estimate too high than underestimate and lose money. On to number 7. Flipping houses is not easy, but it's so worth it. I first got into house flipping because of TV shows. It just looked so fun and easy, and it is fun, but it definitely ain't easy. Flipping houses successfully requires a lot of patience, practice, skills, negotiation, dealing with people, budgeting, guiding, managing, and more. It's a lot of work. Honestly, in the beginning, had I known the truth about how much work it would be, I don't know if I would have had the guts to do it. But I'm so glad that I did. Every flip is unique, but each time I get better. Each time I learn more, and my mental toolbox is filled with more skills, more ideas, more strategies for reducing my stress and improving the process. So if you're looking to get into house flipping, don't let the fear of the unknown stop you. But don't walk in blindly either. Learn all you can, ask a lot of questions, and find out about the mistakes others have made. Then go out there and crush it. For BiggerPockets.com, my name is Brandon. I hope to see you around the site, around the forums, around the blog. Connect with me there. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. We'll see you around the BiggerPockets community.